What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. That is Mike Fuji. I am Al Norfleet, and together we are at the 50 with Fuji and Fleet. And today we're going to be talking about quite a few things. We're supposed to have Shaun Young on, but he can't make it. But later on in the show, we're going to have Tony the Tornado on, and we're going to talk some Phillies baseball as well. But right now, we're going to start off talking about our dreadful Philadelphia Eagles. What's going on, Mike?
Big Al, it is Red October. First of all, I want to, take a moment for Dikembe Mutombo and Pete Rose on passing the other day. Both played for Phillies and the 76ers.
Absolutely. Yep.
Condolences to both their families and both organizations for, big loss.
Yes.
Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. It's Red October. Of course, in honor, I got my man Pete Rose jersey on. God bless him and Dikembe Mutombo. Just to get to the Birds, 2-2, pretty sloppy. The bye week couldn't, a little early, but couldn't come at a better time. Hopefully, we'll dive right into this, chop this up, and then, hopefully the tornado will be coming right through here on at the 50 with you and myself. But what a pitiful loss this week.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I don't even know where to begin with this team. I mean, I know you're right there when these guys get on the bus, and they're the mood. I know you always say it's business, but something's got to. Let me ask you, since you're right in the trenches with these guys, even though it's business, but what was your take of this slop?
Well, exactly the same sentiments. It was slop. It was a sloppy game. It was really didn't look like a NFL team playing. In my opinion, I don't think these guys were prepared to play this game. I don't know if they went in thinking of all the injuries that they have and say, well, if it goes bad, we got an excuse. I'm hoping that they don't think like that. I don't think they do, but we could only see what we saw. They didn't look prepared at all, and it's early in the season, but yet it's early for every team, and every team did not look like we looked this past weekend.
Well, right now the whole league's kind of been topsy-turvy. Who the heck's old Minnesota and Sam Darnold coming out looking like Joe Montana or Tom Brady, 4-0. The Niners losing 2 in a row. They got back off the schneid, beating the New England Patriots. But this has been a weird season of football.
Yeah. Even look at Baltimore Ravens starting off with 0-2. Nobody really foresaw that coming either.
Well, last week, they were smoking Dallas, and then they let Dallas back in, but they came out this week and dropped the hammer on the Bills. Derrick Henry looking like old King Henry himself, just running all over Buffalo. And it's, I'll say this. You look at, not to get off the subject of the Eagles, but just going around the NFL, you look at Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence just getting the bag this past off season. And I don't know what's going on down there, but I think Doug Peterson's definitely got to be on the hot seat down there. And, they're going across the pond this weekend, going up against the, no, wrong team. It's the Jets in Minnesota. I'm wrong.
I think the Jaguars go as well. If not, it's the following week, and they're going to be over there for 2 weeks. They're going to play 2 games over there.
Oh, well, I didn't realize with this crazy schedule going on, but I think Doug Peterson's on the hot seat.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because you know what? I heard one of the interviews today, I guess in WIP, and they was talking about Jalen, and they mentioned several quarterbacks that played very well prior to getting the bag. And then once they got the bag, it seemed for some reason the play dropped off, and they was trying to, put their own spin or opinion on, why things was going the way they are. But it's pretty much true. A lot of times these players get that money for whatever reason. The play seemed to drop off. How do you see that?
I'll say this, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and just like I said, seeing these guys close up, but you can never tell, the way they interact. But I just don't think he's got the same grit that he had the last 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He just don't look like he's enjoying himself. I don't know, just going back to last year, he just, to me, his expression, the turnovers are outrageous. I believe he's leading the league in turnovers, but he just don't even look like he's enjoying playing the game of football right now. And
let me ask you this, Mike. I know we don't watch Kansas City as much as we watch the Eagles, but do you see a difference between Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes?
well, I know their stats are kind of similar this year.
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
I did see that, and it's I'll say this. Kansas City, all right, I know they lost a couple guys already, but to me, I would say since Patrick Mahomes has been in the league, this is probably the best arsenal that he's had since he's been the starter in Kansas City. Now, I don't know what's going on with them. They seem like they're just squeaking out games. All these rumors about Travis Kelce not being in shape, probably partying too much with
Taylor.
With Taylor. He's not getting the catches. I just think he's just more of a decoy out there. And I don't know if he's just at the end of his run, but 3 Super Bowls, and I don't know, but Kansas City don't look like they're what are they 4-0, but still, they're not running away with a lot of games either. Atlanta,
right.
They squeaked that out in Cincinnati 2 weeks ago, kicking a field goal to win, and back to Jalen / Mahomes. Their stats are similar, but I don't know what it is. Like I said earlier, I don't know what's going on in the NFL, but really, it's any given Sunday, and
absolutely.
I don't think anybody's seen, just an example, Minnesota coming out. I know they squeaked one out against Green Bay, but no matter if it's the best team in the division, the worst team in the division, everybody's always up to play with that division rivalry.
Right. And that's the reason that I brought that question up, because I heard so many people today, since Sunday, talking about Jalen Hurts is the bomb. He stinks. He's no good. Sure, he's having turnover problems, but when you compare him to some of the other quarterbacks in the league, he's scheduled labeled as number 10. Mahomes is number 11. Jalen has 90 completion out of 132 attempts, whereas Patrick has 83 completions out of 121 attempts. Patrick Holmes has 904 yards, and Jalen has 930, 4 interceptions, 4 TDs. Patrick has 6 TDs with 5 interceptions. So their stats are not that far off from each other. Right. And that's why I just don't understand. I understand how people are upset, especially in Philadelphia, that they want their teams to play well, and they want their quarterback, especially after getting all this money, to play better than what he is playing, and which I agree with that. But to say he's a bum, he stinks and all of that, that's what I just don't agree with when his numbers is right up there with one of the best in the league. So, that's just my opinion though.
No, I agree. I mean, we're talking about, to me, it was the undisputed MVP 2 years ago.
Hmm.
You got this team to the Super Bowl, and they were 10-1 last year. I'll say this, and even though before the collapse, I really didn't think they were squeaking out games. I mean,
Right, yep.
I don't think they just. I hate to say it, but to me, they weren't a powerhouse of 10-1. They just didn't. Something just seemed off last year with this team.
Yeah.
It was. I don't know if it was just the coordinators, and it just goes back to me. And I'll say this: I don't want to really, the whole Sirianni thing. It's just hate to say it, but if they keep playing like this, I think the plug's going to be pulled on Nick Sirianni. But to me, there's just such a disconnect between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. Honestly, Nick Sirianni is not the coach for Jalen Hurts to elevate to that level, to that next level. I don't know who is. I don't know right now if it's Kellen Moore, but it's we could. I mean, in all facets of the game, there's issues. There's issues on the defense. There's issues on the offense. Like, there's enough blame to go around. I'm not going to make Sirianni just bury him, but in the grand scheme of things, you can't fire the coach or fire the players. But but if this debacle keeps going on, in the next couple of weeks, Sirianni is going to be, just going to take the axe and be gone.
Right.
I don't know where you go from there, but I think in my prediction, like I said when we first started this, I think Kellen Moore is your interim coach, but that remains to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Well, rumors are running rampant that Bill Belichick is hanging around, that he wants the job, but that remains to be seen, and it remains to be seen whether or not Sirianni stays around. But when you put the kind of product out that they put out last Sunday,
Right.
someone or something has to change. Because first of all, Mr. Lurie is not going to watch this go on week after week without, insisting a change be made. Howie is not going to, let it go on constantly without insisting the change has to be made. But like you say, you very rarely fire. Well, I've never seen a player been fired. I mean, he may be benched or something to that nature, but the coach would be the first one to go. Bottom line, he's responsible for everything.
Well, no doubt, because it's like I said, I mean, going into the season, and I'll say, like I said it before, to me, Nick Sirianni's situation right now was probably the same ultimatum they gave Doug Peterson. But Doug stuck up for his coaches, wasn't going to fire his staff. So, and Sirianni basically just, I hate to say it, being a CEO, a puppet, whatever, but, the leash is just getting thinner. And he's just, like I said, he's the one that's going to take the fall in the end. God knows where the team goes from here, but the only reason I can't see Belichick coming into Philly, I think it would be too much of a power struggle with Howie. Because to me, Howie has his prints all over this. You hear about, Howie last year, the analytical department making, throwing in all these plays and all this stuff that was reported. But Howie's got his prints all over this. You brought in two legitimate coordinators. Kellen Moore's been around. Vic Fangio's been around 40 plus years. Something's got to give. And I just don't see Bill Belichick coming in and taking over this team just because of that. Unless he decides he don't want, no power. But, hey, he's the winningest coach.
That's not going to happen with him.
Well, that's all I'm saying. He's the winningest coach in Super Bowl history, and it's just, his ego's probably the size of the planet Earth, and you're going to talk to a guy that won 9 Super Bowls, plus 2 at the Giants, like over Howie Roseman, and I don't know if Belichick. I mean, hey, it's the players that make whatever, but it's like Parcells always said: coaches get too much of the blame when they lose, and too much of the credit when they win. So the thing is was Belichick that good of a coach, or was it because of Tom Brady? But in the grand scheme of things, I would say it was Tom Brady.
Right.
Or a little bit mixture of both. But as I said, Bill Belichick, I don't think he'll be coming here. I'd be flustered to see if Lurie brought Bill Belichick in. But you know what? Right now, I think, this team needs a quick, swift kick in the ass.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to get in, Darius Slay going on Micah Parsons' podcast. Like, I know Trey Thomas threw him under the bus today. You want to see Dawkins, any of those, Trey himself, Hugh Douglas, or any of those guys from back in the day going on a Cowboys podcast. You know what? That's a violation, Darius Slay. You should be ridiculed for that. But today, really, the allegiance, where's the rivalry at?
Right.
Back in the old days, you would punch him in the mouth. Buddy Ryan probably would have cut your ass for that.
And especially it being Dallas. I mean, that was like a cardinal sin, really.
Of course. Yeah, but on the flip side, I'll say this. Kind of thought of this. Maybe it's a little off base, but how do we know Darius Slay's not trying to recruit Micah Parsons to come to the Eagles? He's all up and down the Eagles, all Philly. Being from Harrisburg area and all.
Yeah, but even if he was, that's one of his excuses. But you don't do something like that in this day and age with social media the way it is. There's no way it will be hidden. And you playing on a team and you got your arch rival and you go on that podcast, not just the fact of going on the podcast, but going on the podcast and talking about your teammate missing a tackle. That to me, that was uncalled for. And he, like you said, he should be ridiculed for that.
Well, I'll say this. I've been saying this for 2 years. I like Darius Slay. He can still play, but I think the game, you got these young guys in here with Quenyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Isaiah Rodgers. I'll say this. I won't be shocked that Darius Slay is traded by the deadline, depending on where this team is.
Yeah.
I mean, your first 2 picks were D-backs. You went out, got Isaiah Rodgers last year from the Colts, who's very young. You got Kaylee Ringo. That secondary, you got some young youth. And, like Bradbury, who's probably just waiting to get traded. I think Slay could be out the door. Who knows? Depending, like I said, where this team's going. And that's this team, I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of blame to go around, but in the grand scheme of things, you come out this way against Cleveland, I think that leash is just getting tighter and tighter on Paulie pom-poms.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about we've been talking about coaching staff and Sirianni. Let's talk a little bit about Kevin Moore. To me, when you have a weapon like Saquon Barkley, and you go the whole first quarter, maybe he touched the ball once in the first half, maybe 3 times he touched the ball. To me, I mean, I know they saying, well, it's how the game goes. We had 3, 4, 5 3 and outs. What? That's one of the reasons why you had the 3 and outs, because you didn't use your weapon properly. That's the way I see it. But once he does get his hand on the ball, look what he does with it.
Oh, this is definitely a stat. The Eagles are the only team in the NFL this season without scoring a point in the first quarter.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
mean, with A.J. Brown out, Devontae Smith, they finally used Dallas Goedert last week. Like, guy's been on a milk carton probably dating back to last season. I mean, you brought Saquon Barkley in, who's been if this offense, if they didn't have Saquon Barkley, for all we know, they could be 1-3 or 0-4.
0-4, probably. 0-4, because he was
And it's
instrumental in every game.
Right. And it's just, you brought the guy in to pound the ball. That's what you're paying him $12 million a year. But it's, we could talk about the injuries, but hey, I mean, just, I don't know. It's like you got Paris Campbell, you got Jahan Dotson, but it's just, I don't know. I just don't have any answers for this team.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. We got a tremendous amount of injuries. But the bottom line is, whoever you put out there, your job is to perform. Something like Bill Belichick used to always say, just do your job. And collectively, that wasn't done, from the receivers to the line to Jalen. Nobody really performed up to the Philadelphia Eagles standard of performing this past Sunday.
Right now, just looking at stats through 4 games, the Eagles have given up 13 sacks already, and just alone Sunday, Jalen was sacked 6 times. And I believe Cam Jurgens got hurt, which doesn't really help the cause because, like I said, luckily the bye just is here now. But I mean, hey, you got a stretch. What are they for the next 13 games to turn this thing around? And we know it's early, but it's not how you start; it's where you finish. But
yeah.
I mean, you figure you got Cleveland coming up after the bye. You got the Giants. I mean, who knows where these games are going to go? Because we always sit back when the schedule comes out and assume you're going to win this game, lose that game. But hey, there's no game is given right now the way this team's playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that started back from last year, the end of the season, when we was losing terribly to really bad teams, and it seems as if it just carried on. It carried on into this 2024 season.
It's not going to get any easier. I mean, who saw Washington coming out of the gate being 3-1? Not to anoint them the division champs or in the Super Bowl, but I'll pump the brakes a little bit. But Jaden Daniels is playing lights out so far. Minnesota's playing good so far.
As a matter of fact, we are third in the division right now.
Right.
Third, Washington is first. And then Dallas, even though we got the same record, but we are third. As you said before, Jalen's been sacked 13 times. Daniel Jones been sacked 9 times. Jaden has been sacked 9, and Dak Prescott 10. But we're at 13. That's crazy.
Well, it just seems like Dallas has their own issues losing Michael Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence last week. Both are going to be out for God knows how long, and it's who knows where the Giants are heading.
Yeah.
I mean, they should be in the base. It's been a freaky year so far, and
yes, indeed.
Washington. I don't know. I just kind of think Washington kind of like changed that whole culture after Daniel Snyder was gone. Josh Harris. I don't know what the hell he had to buy a football team for, but
yeah,
it's just new coach Dan Quinn bringing a different culture. So now there's a rumor that they may go after Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Whether how true it is, I don't know. I keep hearing the Saints because, Devontae Adams played college ball with Derek Carr, and there's rumors that Aaron Rodgers wants him, but I don't see how the Jets can afford him because they can't pay Reddick.
Right.
And, and Devontae Adams is coming in with a hefty price tag.
Absolutely. There was rumors today that I've heard. I don't know which station I heard it on, but like I say, when you hear these rumors, they're really not coming from the teams. It's just coming from the media. But they was talking about Odell Beckham possibly coming here. But again, like I said, that does not come from the team. It just comes from the wild media out here. So what would you think if that situation would occur, Odell Beckham?
I don't know what the guy really has left. I mean, it's just, to me, he went to Baltimore last year. I believe he got picked up by Miami earlier this year. I don't really know what the heck happened.
Yeah, he's been in Miami.
But I don't think he really brings anything to the table. I just think, last year he just seemed like a non-factor with Baltimore. And I just don't know because, I'm just afraid of getting back to our own players. That, a hamstring can hamper you all year, and that's what I'm seriously afraid with A.J. Brown, because you figure you're practicing on it a good part of the week. You get in the game, you can hamper a hamstring so easily. And I'm just afraid that's going to do A.J. Brown in for the year, which I hope I'm wrong, depending on how severe it is.
All right, hold tight for 1 second. Tornado just showed up.
Look at
What's up?
What's going on, Tony?
Not much.
It's been a while. I haven't seen you.
What's it been, about 5 hours?
Just about. This man took more pictures today probably than Rocky Balboa back in the day.
The Fanatic might have got me by one or two.
Yeah.
and that walking Hatfield pig.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
From Dollar Dog Night.
So Fuji, just as I was piping on, you were thinking AJ Brown's hamstring is a little bit more serious than they're letting on?
No, it's just hearsay. No, but I just know just hamstrings are tough with receivers.
I know.
D-backs. Like they could just, they could do a number on you. And it's just,
oh, yeah.
Like, you could be better and then, you tweak it. And it's, I'm just afraid. And I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the reasons that he didn't play this past weekend. He was ready, but I think they wanted to use that game along with the bye week to give him a little bit more time. And so I think when he comes back, he should be good, because one thing about the training staff, they have a real good training staff over there.
Yeah, and I agree with the extra week and the bye week. And what I think really hurt him this weekend, well, first of all, you get behind like that, that's a killer right there. You let the team go down the field, you're down 7-0. You give the ball back after 3 plays, and you're down 14-0. You're in a hole. You're in a big hole. And then teams know it's like, okay, you can't run as much. So Saquon is now, a limited factor, because now you're going to have to go to the air. That's a problem. Right. And when you're going to the air and you don't have your number 1 and your number 1A, and you're really depending on 2 first-round picks that never lived up to expectations in Paris Campbell and Jahan Dotson, and then you're also looking at a rookie like Johnny Wilson. Now, I like Johnny Wilson. I think he's got that big body and he's got a physicality that they weren't able to get with a guy like Jay Jaw, or who was the other guy they thought was going to be like that big red zone target. I'm drawing a blank right now, but that's what they were kind of hoping with him. But it's like, I don't think he's ready to be that guy yet.
Right.
No, you get back to Sunday's game. Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay scored first three possessions were touchdowns, and the fourth was a field goal, and you're already in the hole, like you said, 24-0.
Yeah, and that takes your running game out of the equation. The only positive thing about Sunday's game for me is I was very hungover, so I didn't get my normal. I was at a wedding Saturday night, so I didn't get home till about noon, just in time to go pick up a few items at the grocery store and sit down. And they played how I felt.
Mm. Well,
Yeah.
so we can blame this on you, right?
You got back. Excuse me, what'd you say, Al?
I said, so we can blame this on you then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's like, maybe they felt like me osmosisly. I don't know. I can't say that because
are you taking the blame?
No, because the week prior I was down the shore.
For the Eagles on Sunday?
No, because the week prior I was down the shore. And I got home just about an hour before game time. I went and picked up a few things at the grocery store, and the defense came out firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Going back, and I really respect a guy like Seth Joyner. I grew up with the gangrene defense. That's when I really started watching the Eagles. And Al, I don't know if you ever heard this story. This is one that I like to tell, and I got to meet Dick for a meal a few months ago and tell him this. I said, Dick, I should be a Libra, but I am a Virgo because of you. And he looked at me, and I told the same thing to Vince Papali. And I said, my due date was September 29th, 1976. I should be a Libra. But you guys opened the season. You opened your Eagles career in Dallas, and you got shellacked pretty bad. My mom, who was not watching the game at the time, went into labor at 4 o'clock right after the final whistle blew.
Mm-hmm.
So I apparently knew. But I grew up really identifying with that gangrene defense. Reggie, Clyde, Jerome, Seth, Dirty Waters, Wes Hopkins, Eric Allen, tough guys. And they had an identity. And they had like that Buddy Ryan 46 defense. We're going to blitz you, till we can't blitz you no more. And we're going to get after the quarterback. And we may not, be more talented than you, but we're tougher than you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hoping that Vic Fangio would bring that kind of mentality. Now, I know he's not a blitzer like Jim Johnson. I love Jim Johnson's defense. It was, once again, that tough, hard-nosed Philly defense. And I knew Vic wasn't going to do that, but that zone he ran the other day was so soft. It would be 3rd and 7, and the cornerbacks are lining up 8-9 yards back.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone's like, well, you're eliminating the deep play. Yeah, but you're not eliminating the first down.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you get 10 first downs. Guess what? You're in the end zone.
That's 100 yards. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think the week off will be good. Come home next week, and let's get tough. I want to see them get tough, like they played against New Orleans when they got Jalen Carter pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
And he was taking 300-pound linemen. It gave me that Jerome Brown feeling when he was taking a guy and tossing him with one arm. I want to see that. I want to see guys like I don't mind the young linebackers. I know Nakobe Dean had a real rough game the other day, but the other games he didn't play bad. He didn't play bad. He looked like why he should have been possibly a first-round pick. I want to see Little Trot get on the field.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not going to use Devin White, then give Little Trot a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seth Barnes is playing out of his mind.
Oh, yeah. Barnes is playing great.
Got me thinking Seth Joyner on the brain.
Well, let me ask both. Go ahead, man.
I said, thinking Seth Joyner is never a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask both of you guys a question here. Now, I know things change from day to day, from week to week, but you play this very emotional game against the Saints. Why is it such a difference coming in the next week and not having any emotion whatsoever?
Wow.
Okay, Tony.
No, Mike, go ahead, because I think you're going to say the same thing I'm going to say.
It baffles me because you scratch and claw in New Orleans, which I don't know if you gentlemen ever been there. I was there 2012 when the Eagles got blown out on a Monday night. A very hostile, loud, probably one of the loudest environments in the NFL. Like, I'm just surprised that Hurts even could hear himself with the snap count. But you go into a hostile environment like New Orleans, who that, the whole Saints Nation, just you come out with a win that wasn't pretty, but you went down there, took care of business, smacked the best offense through 2 weeks, right on the jaw. You shut them down, but I don't know how it's an emotional fight. You go down to Tampa. I don't want to hear about the Heat, this, that, but this team I don't know where they were. I don't know if the Hurricane, I'm not the Hurricane, whatever, but I don't know how this team just didn't come off that big win after week 3 and go down there and at least put up a fight. They came back, but just the turnovers.
Yeah,
I mean, Hurts is killing this team with turnovers.
Yeah, Mike, talking about emotion like that, and it's a great question, Al. I'm going to go back in the day, back when I was 20, 21 years old, and I was a competitive amateur boxer. And we had fights for a matter of months almost every week. So we'd get up at the school and we'd start training in September. And then starting in October, we'd have a fight. And then like right before Thanksgiving, you'd have a fight. And then when you get back the next semester, you were fighting almost every single week. And sometimes you'd fight in an environment that was hostile, either in your favor or against your favor. And I know the one, it sticks out in my mind. I was main eventing a card down in Richmond, Virginia. And we went down there and came out all guns blazing, fought this kid from VMI, beat him pretty good. So the following week, they're like, okay, now we're going to send you up to New York and you're going to fight at Air Force. So now, or you're fighting a kid from Air Force. And I'm looking at this. They're like, oh, in the middle of that, we're going to have you do this exhibition fight. Why? Well, because we have this kid from Penn State and he's had a few amateur fights and we want to get him in the ring with somebody. So it's not going to count, but it's going to be like an exhibition. I'm like, don't you realize I got like an actual fight coming up a matter of days later? Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's an exhibition. Well, we've all seen Rocky IV. Don't you know this is just supposed to be an exhibition? Because he didn't think it was an exhibition. And he came out, and next thing I know, I find my butt on the ground. And then I find it on the ground again. So now that woke me up, and then I ended up, blasting him with a pretty good left hook and, pretty much ended the show. But that was like, okay, we had this big emotional win. And then it's like, you got a bye coming up. And it was like, you didn't have that emotion like I think you needed. And I'll tell you this, right after that, I had that fight up in New York against a kid from Air Force. And this is going to lead into the Phillies and the Phillies and the Eagles from 22-23. Had this big fight up in New York, and I fought a kid from Air Force, and I won. We know I won. Everybody in the crowd know I won. 2 people thought I lost. Unfortunately, 2 of the 3 people that mattered.
Your judges.
He got his hand raised. There was some boos. Even one of the guys that was in attendance actually walked up to me and said, that was pretty bogus. It happens. Now, I had time off because semester was breaking, and I didn't have to fight for another 2 months. So I went home, went back to Philly, started training in my South Philly gym, training with guys that were pros. So physically, I'm in shape. Mentally, I'm not in shape. I'm not mentally ready. And January came pretty fast. And I remember getting my hands taped up. We're going to Penn State. I'm fighting a kid from Navy. He was a brigade champion. He was a pretty accomplished fighter. And I remember I walked in that ring and I wasn't feeling it until he hit me. And then it was like the light bulb turned on, and I ended up giving him a pretty good, beating. And he went the distance with me, but I won pretty handily. And I felt pretty good. So after that 22 season with the Phillies, they should not have, made it to the World Series. They shouldn't have made it to the playoffs. They made it on the last day. And they had that one win against the Cardinals, 6 runs in the 9th. They get past the Cardinals. Well, I wanted to make a respectable showing. But we're probably going to lose to the Braves, but I hope we play them good. Oh, we beat the Braves. Oh, Well, we got a chance against the Padres, but they're a better team. Oh, we beat the Padres. You know what? This is going to happen. We're going to win. Didn't work that way. And then, okay, after that, the emotions were high. But the Eagles were playing so well. Eagles are playing great, man. And they go to the playoffs and they shellac the first team. They shellac, the Niners pretty bad. We're the better team. We're going to beat Kansas City. All we got to do is beat them. And that game, very emotional. And I don't want to talk about that last call. I was watching the game the other day. I saw Carl Cheffers, referee at the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I threw up the double hands with the one, finger I'm thinking of. I said, I want to get his lemonade, put some laxatives and ghost peppers.
You were talking about that earlier.
Yes, we were. So game's over, and I'm so emotionally, I'm drained. The Phillies and then the Eagles, and I was spent. Didn't go to the gym for a week, nothing. A month later, I'm going to Clearwater. And this guy's going to Clearwater.
Right.
He's not ready. He's not mentally ready. And I had done one private appearance for a birthday party for a special needs young man that they did not think was going to see that birthday. And because his family asked me to suit up, I did. But nobody saw me other than that. No public appearances at all. And I packed my stuff for Florida, and I said, I'm afraid. I'm actually legitimately afraid. And I said, I'm not afraid of being him again. I'm afraid of being let down again, getting dumped again, getting broken up with again, getting your heart broken again. And I went down to Florida and I packed the outfit. And that morning I woke up and I said, okay, man, you've been dreading this for weeks, for months. It's time. It's do or die. And I couldn't do it. I looked at the outfit for 10 minutes, laid out on the bed, just looked at it. And I said, you know what? I went to the mirror. Like Rocky III, there is no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I looked in the mirror and I said, can you do it again? And the guy in the mirror said, I don't know. And I looked at the guy in the mirror again. I said, can you be that guy again? Can you be him again? And the guy in the mirror said, I don't know. And I remember saying, just put it on piece by piece. I put the earring on first. I went to the wristbands, the shirt, the shorts, the tassels, the socks, the whole kit and caboodle. And the whole thing was on, hat, cape, everything. And I looked in the mirror, and the guy in the mirror said back to me, you look like a fraud. You don't look like him. You look like somebody pretending to be him. And I sat in the room for another few minutes, and it was a long hallway to the elevator. And I said, you got to go. You got to go to breakfast, and you got to be when the gates open. You got to go. And I pushed myself out the door, and I walked down that long, cold hallway, and I got on the elevator by myself. The elevator went down 2-3 floors, and they opened, and there was a lobby full of Phillies fans. And when I stepped off that lobby, the place erupted in cheers. And I remember smiling. I said, I remember that feeling. And the first guy came over and goes, yo, can we do a selfie? He's back. And I said, it was just like the guy from Navy that hit me in the mouth 20 years ago.
It clicked on.
Up. Yeah, I woke up.
Good. Now, like I said, this is my first time meeting you. I was reading up a little bit on you there. And diehard Phillies, correct? I wonder where I get that from. So, how long have you been a Phillies fan?
I was a little young for the 1980 World Series. My first Phillies real memory was probably around 83, 84. So I remember my dad watching the games. Like I said, I don't remember the 80 World Series. I vaguely remember the 83 World Series. But what made me a fan was going to my first game, which was 1984. I was 7 years old, missing teeth, and my uncle had given me a big catcher's mitt. And I had never caught a baseball before. He goes, I'm going to teach you how to catch, because a ball is going to come to you in the field, and you're going to be in the stands, and you're going to catch a foul ball. We're about 15 feet away, and he wings one at me. And when it was right past the glove, hits me in the face. And then my parents my aunt and my uncle, who Mike know, we used to have the Sunday package back around 85, 86, 87. So the Phillies were getting progressively worse every year after 80 and 83.
Mm-hmm.
But I was having the best time. I was a little kid going to baseball games. And the giveaways now are obviously leagues better than they were when I was that age. But it was just going to the old Vet Stadium, sitting in section 144 between third base and left field, and watching right there Mike Schmidt, watching Glenn Wilson gunning guys out from right field, Von Hayes, watching an up-and-coming catcher named Darren Dalton. All these guys. And it was like, you're watching the waning days of Steve Carlton, who's still one of the best. And it was just Juan Samuel, who I always liked. I just was having so much fun. And then the Phillies were getting progressively worse and worse and worse. Schmidt retired. And when Schmidt retired, it kind of like killed a little bit of it for me because he was my favorite player.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd watch games with my grandmother. And then the following year after Schmidt retired, she passed away. And I could tell you, I probably didn't watch a game for about maybe a year or two because I watched so many games with her. And it was hard.
Right.
Until 93 happened. And 93 was such a magical ride. And you had, of course, one of my favorite all-time players, John Kruk, who I got to meet last year. You still had Darren Dalton on the team, Dave Hollins, Tommy Green, who I got to play wiffle ball with, Kurt Schilling, Mitch Wild Thing Williams. You such a cast of characters, Lenny Dykstra, and they just captured your imagination until, unfortunately, Joe Carter ruined that.
Yeah.
Joe Carter ruined my childhood. I've seen that on a T-shirt. But yeah, and then this whole outfit developed over time. Really, they did an article on me last year on KYW, and the guy goes, "How did this how this whole persona develop?"
Nah.
And I said, and one of the things Mike was the witness of. Mike might have even taken the photo. I had one Uncle Sam had at a carnival. We were going to a 4th of July weekend game. It was 100 and some degrees. I said, I'm going to wear that Uncle Sam hat and paint my face. My mom and my aunt said, you do something so ridiculous, we don't want to be seen anywhere near you in Vet Stadium. I said, well, now I'm going to do it just because you told me not to. And I would wear the Uncle Sam hat every so often. Then I found one at a Party City, had like sequins on it, and I really liked it. And I bought it. And the year after I bought it, they win the World Series. So obviously that was the good luck charm. And wore it for a couple years, and it was falling apart. It was starting to, it was cheap. It was a $6 hat. And we're in Chicago where I met Mike. We're in the same hotel. We go to the game together. And as we're sitting there in the stands, I look, and there's a guy wearing the exact same Uncle Sam hat. And because some of them had like red trim, some of them had what, this one had blue trim. So I go up to this guy and I said, I'd like to get a photo with you. And I look at this guy, and he is the Chicago me. I'm wearing a red Phillies jersey. He's wearing a white Cubs jersey. I got a black goatee. He's got a red goatee. We're both wearing the same hat, but he had little Cubs logos on his, and little baseballs hanging. And he goes, I'm just going to tell you right now, my hat's better than yours. You need to up your game. And I looked at him. I said, you know what, buddy? Challenge accepted. Up yours. And then a year later, we had a great season in 2011, but it ended up being such a letdown at the end. And what made it worse for me was I was working a job that I was really having a difficult time. And the Phillies were the only thing that was getting me through every day. I'd come home from work, bad day, and I just put the game on. And when they lost that year, I was just so dejected and so heartbroken. And I remember thinking, you lost your passion for life. You don't have fun anymore. You need to have fun again. How are you going to have fun again? And I said, maybe if I get that Uncle Sam hat and get it professionally done with the Phillies P on it. I wonder where I can get that. I Google like custom sequin hats. I found a woman. She was like in Mexico. We start talking. And I sent her, what I want in pictures. And I'm sending her pictures of Apollo Creed. And she sends me the template for the hat. I said, yeah, that's great. And she sends me the price. I said, okay. She sends me the shipping. And I said, whoa. Forgot, coming from Mexico. I said, you know what? For that shipping cost, how much would you charge to add a cape to it? I can do that. So she made a cape similar to this, and it was lined in velvet. The first person I ever photoed with wearing it was Mike. Down at McFadden's. Down at McFadden's.
When I worked there.
Okay.
You worked there. And then I had that for 7 seasons, 12 through 18. And 18, we all know what happened in Philadelphia. Philly special, And somebody says to me, you should talk to Jim May, the guy that made Kelsey's outfit.
Right.
He can make you one. I said, okay. I thought about it, and I chewed it over. I said, yeah, I'm going to reach out to him. I get his number. I call him. He goes, who are you? Oh, I'm Tony Tornado. Everybody knows Tony Tornado. He's like, I don't know you. And he goes, what do you want? I said, I'd like to talk to you about making me a sequin Uncle Sam outfit. He's like, you're kidding, right? No, I'm pretty serious. And he sighed, and he goes, okay, listen, here's what I want you to do. Send me a picture of what you want, email it to me, and I'll think about it. That was in late September. Email him right around September 25th, 26th. I don't get a response, nothing. And I'm kicking around, and I'm like, man, what can I do next? How can I convince this guy? My best friend, his wife was from media, Delco girl. Maybe she knows. Maybe she knows where I can find him. So I go over the house. I go, Natalie, can I talk to you? Yeah. I got to go meet this guy in media about making a sequin outfit. She goes, Jim May? I said, yeah. She goes, oh, he was friends with my dad. I'm like, your dad that just passed away. Story of my life. And he goes, he made my sister's wedding dress. Really? So I got him back on the phone again in December. And we talked. And I said, you knew Carmen? He goes, I knew Carmen very well. I'm sad he passed away. I said, yeah, I was at his funeral. He goes, so was I. Okay. I said, yeah. I said, I'm very good friends with the family. I said, his grandson's my godson. Oh, you know the family that well? I said, yes, I do, sir. And we talked. And then finally he softened. He goes, but we have to talk after the new year because I got the mummers coming up right now on January 1st. I said, I respect that. So we talked on January 4th. It was a Thursday. And he goes, the first thing he goes, okay, let's not waste any more time. People have been calling me for the last 10 months about this Jason Kelsey outfit. And they're trying to get me to make something cheap and knock off and, not to the quality that I do. So I don't do cheap work. I said, well, sir, I don't want cheap work. And he goes, if you get a job done by me, you can expect to pay. And he put a $sign out there. He bluffed. And I called him. I said, okay, what time should I come to the fitting on Tuesday? And he stopped. He paused. 11 o'clock. I said, I'll see you there. I showed up at 10:30. And we got there, and I brought my old outfit with me, and he was looking at it, and we talked, and he started taking my measurements, and he was much more relaxed. He was much more, this guy is not pulling my leg. He's not BSing me. He's not trying to get me to do something that's not to my standards. He pulled out the contract, and it was half of what he quoted me. He was testing me to see if I would go away and if I was serious. When he noticed that I was, he then said, let's do this. And last year when KYW did that article, Mike was quoted in it, and so was Jim May. So Mike gave me a great feedback on it. Jim May gave me great feedback. And the gentleman that wrote the article, one of his college roommates is one of my coworkers. Actually, guy I had lunch with today with you met today.
Oh, okay.
Our other coworker. That's the three of us go to lunch together every day. He just the other guy happened to be out today.
All right.
And that's one thing he goes, Tony's the same guy in the office that he is at the game. There's no difference.
I mean, I've known you for over 10 years, and I don't know, you look at all your costumes, you're always up for every holiday, whether it's Santa Claus when you sell Christmas trees, Halloween, you're a big wrestling fan. You've met quite a lot of big names since I met you, and it's like, to me, you're just, how to live life, and I'm not just saying this, just being, you're a genuine, down-to-earth person that's just real, and it's.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mike, I'll tell you, I'm going to quote somebody that you know. One of your best friends in the whole world. You know who that is, Mike?
Who's that?
Bones.
Oh, your cousin.
Yeah. Mike met my family when we were in Chicago. My cousin Dana Bones. She was about 17 at the time and just got married. She's on her belated honeymoon. And she said to me the other year, she's always looking at me on Facebook and all that. And she said, how do you meet so many people? And I said to her, I said, Dana, I believe that memories are more important than money. I'm not saying go and throw your money away, but if you want to do something, do it. And if you're going to meet somebody, whether it's Brandon Graham from the Eagles or Nick Foles or Dick Vermeil or Cody Clemens, I saw him at a karaoke bar last year with his father singing. I mean, I saw Roger Clemens sing karaoke. That's kind of a bucket list. Whoever you meet, always be polite. If you go up to ask for an autograph or a photo and they say no, hey, that might suck, but you accept it. You don't, you always say please, always say thank you. And if you have something unique that you can associate with them, they're people too. They love to hear unique things. So when I met Brandon Graham, I went to one of his signings. He has a pizza up at my friend's place in Collegeville. And I actually went and bought the pizza on the way to the signing, cut the top of the box out, and I brought it in. I said, bet you nobody brought you a pizza box to sign. And we laughed. And then I told him, I said, my mom, who Mike knows, is this little 5-foot-tall Italian woman, very quiet. We're watching Super Bowl 52, and that woman for 3 quarters and 13 and a half minutes never utters a word. Nothing. While I paced 6 miles back and forth in the family room. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, her hands go to her mouth, and she says 2 words, sack Brady. Next play, sack fumble. So I tell Brandon that story. A few weeks later, he's at the bakery. I bring my mom. And Brandon saw us come in, and he grabs her in the biggest bear hug. And he goes, I heard you wanted me to sack Brady, and I got him just for you. I'll go to Hulk Hogan's bar every year down in Clearwater. That's where I met Roger Clemens. And, obviously he said Hulk Hogan, boy, I'm a big Hulkamaniac, man. I watched all your matches as a kid. He hears that all the time. When you show him a picture of you dressed up as his Thunderlips character from Rocky III running a 5K, he tends to remember that.
Yeah.
But that's what I said to Dana. I said, you know what? Take chances, be polite. If you see an opportunity, and now she says it because she likes the movie Twisters, which is ironic because my nickname's Tornado. The line in the movie goes, if you feel it, chase it.
Right.
And the one I did a few years ago, Al, and I am so thankful I did it because, and you'll understand why in a minute. I get a call. There's a Comic-Con in Philadelphia, Center City, right at the convention center. I'm not a big sci-fi guy. I'll watch Star Wars here and there. Yeah, I'm not big. And I'm looking at all the list of characters going to be there. Somebody from Star Trek. Yeah. Somebody from this one. Yeah. Somebody from The Mandalorian. Carl Weathers. Apollo Creed. And my dad goes, where are you going? I said, I'm going to the convention center. I'm having a meet and greet with Carl Weathers. And my dad rolls his eyes. And he goes, you're not going to do what I think you're going to do, are you? I said, what, dress up as Apollo to go meet Carl Weathers? He goes, are you? I said, of course. He goes, good. Because if you weren't, he goes, I was going to call you a gutless coward. And you can hear him saying that too, right?
Yeah.
He actually said it, Mike, he said it a little bit more colorfully than that, I'll just say.
Sure. I'm very sure about that.
But, I mean, when you're Carl Weathers and you've done so many things that he's done, and you look and you see this guy in a full sequined outfit, as a tribute to you, he looked over and his eyes is like, it was like, what? And then he smiled, and then we talked for a minute. And part of the reason I'm so glad I did it was because only a year and a half later, we lost Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
And I would regret that, if I didn't get a chance to do that.
I was going to say, when Carl, just to touch on this, what was what was Carl Weathers' reaction to see you just dressed in the character Apollo Creed's exact outfit?
Well,
Like what?
they had all these things were timed, right? So it's like to get in each line, there was a timing for it. So this line from whatever to get in this line, you got to be here at this time. So as I'm walking over, and now it's my time to get in the Carl Weathers line, the one worker there sarcastically goes, "Oh, you're in the line to meet so-and-so, right?" And I'm like, no, I got the ticket to meet Carl Weathers. He goes, "I know. I can kind of figure that out." So, like I said, Carl Weathers was standing there. He's taking his photos, and he looked up, and as he looked over at the line, you saw his eyes go. He went like almost like whoa, like, and he smiled, and he just like shook his head, like, "Am I really seeing what I really think I'm seeing?" And like I said, very personable. I met Burt Young back in 2017. He was in Plymouth meeting, and once again, he was also very personal. I'm glad I did it. I also wore the Apollo outfit because he has since passed away. If you go back to the Rocky movies, especially the characters that have lived the longest, like, so you take out a guy like Burgess Meredith that died in 1997. I've met a handful of them. Some of the ones that I have not personally met have been Mr. T. I saw Dolph Lundgren on the set of Creed 2. I did not get a chance to meet him. I never got a chance to officially meet Sly. I saw him on the Rocky Balboa set. I saw him on the Creed 2 set. And then at Rocky Day last year, I got a high five from him. But I've never gotten a photo with him. I've gotten to meet Hulk Hogan. I've gotten to meet Antonio Tarver, who was not just an actor in the Rocky Balboa, but he's also an Olympic medalist and multiple-time world champion that I followed his whole career.
Mason,
so let me ask you this: you're going to be at the game Saturday, right?
You know it.
You going to be wearing that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
He sleeps in that thing. Nah.
I'm going to need to have a picture with you, okay?
Okay. I'm always at section 140, right by the Harry Cattle statue.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah. So what I do, and this is a trick I learned a couple years ago, because we didn't have playoff games for a while. And I don't even know if we had StubHub the last time we had playoff games. In 2007, I had a friend of mine, his wife worked for doctors. They would always hook her up with tickets. We went to game 1 that year against the Rockies. They lost, they got swept, but it was like, oh my God, playoff baseball's back. 2008, I got him through a coworker for games 1 against the Brewers and game 2 against the Dodgers. Did not get any World Series games. 2009, I got game 2 against the Rockies. And then in 10 and 11, I was working at that aforementioned job that I was not very happy at. And, oh, what, you think you're getting playoff tickets? You got to work. Playoff game 1. Yeah, you're working till 6 o'clock. And you have to rush home time just to get to see the opening pitch. They didn't care. So in 2022, Phillies start in St. Louis, best out of 3, all games in St. Louis. They sweep. Now they go to Atlanta. They split the first 2 games. Game 3, the first home game in Philly in 11 years. Man, I want to go. Let me look at StubHub. Let me just look. And I'm looking single tickets. And remember, I don't care where my ticket is because I'm going to stand in the same spot. That Friday, I had the day off anyway. And I went to the gym that morning, got a workout in, came home. I was going to go for a jog, right? Just as I'm in the middle of my jog, I got my phone up like this. I'm running and I'm StubHubbing. Single ticket. Whoa. Boom, bye. I bought it in mid-jog. Went home, showered, suited up, left. Went right down to the tailgate. And then same thing for the Padres. Went to game 4. And I was working on a Friday. I'm sitting there. I'm working at home on my little laptop. Okay, no tickets are coming in. I'm good to go. Oh, let me go look at StubHub. Single, whoa, boom. And I went down that game. Couldn't get any of the World Series games. And then the following year, I learned a trick from some friends of mine. Mike might even met him tailgating with us. Husband and wife couple. Great people. We were getting ready for the San Diego game 4. We're in Xfinity having a beer. So where are you guys sitting tonight? We don't have tickets yet. What do you mean you don't have tickets yet? It's 2 hours to the first pitch. They're like, we know. And they're sitting there with their phones. Nope, too high. 10 minutes later, nope, too high. What they do is they look for people on StubHub that do one of two things. Either they're a ticket broker, that they get the tickets and they want to jack them up. And then as the game gets closer, they bring them down. Or say Mike and I want to go to the game. Mike and I are going to go on Saturday. Hey, Mike, I got the lottery. I'm buying 4 tickets. We only need 2. So we'll buy our 2 for $100 each, and we're going to try to sell the other 2 for $500. Nobody's buying. All right, Mike, we're going to sell them at $400. $300? Oh, damn, it's game time in about an hour. $150 sold. And that's what I do. I was last year. I would be on my way to Xfinity. I'd be almost in the door. Still too high. Up there we go. So on Saturday, I might be there tailgating at the block party. Where are you sitting tonight, Tom? Don't have the seat yet, but I will. Well,
I would definitely come by the statue and see you and get that picture with you because
let's do it.
I work at every game because I bring the visiting team in.
Okay.
And so I'm always been doing that since 2000. So I'm always there. Yeah.
When you were talking about like bringing the visiting team in, and it just reminded me the other year, because Mike was talking about it when I first got on. AJ Brown. AJ Brown, phenomenal athlete. He had after he got traded to Philly, was throwing out the first pitch, and then a few months later, when Ray Didinger was retiring, they were going to have Ray throw out the first pitch. It was a Sunday game. So I go in on that Sunday, and they had the table set up right where you used to stand at McFadden's.
Right by the booth.
Right by the booth, yeah.
WIP booth behind like 125, 126.
Actually, where they had the table set up was not far from like the bar where it's the Pass and Stow now.
Yeah.
They had a table set up right there, and they were talking to Ray Didinger, and they were talking to a few other people, and they were talking to the guy that was going to walk him out to throw the first pitch. And this guy, great sense of humor. He goes, ma'am, I always give instructions on throwing a first pitch. And he goes, the first thing I tell somebody is aim high. Because if you throw it high and goes over the catcher's head, people go, ooh. If you dirt it 10 feet in front of the pitcher's mound, people go, boo. So he goes, he goes, a few months ago, he goes, I'm escorting AJ Brown, and I'm telling him what to do. AJ, do this. AJ, do this. And he goes, AJ looks at me. He gives me like a side eye, like, what? He goes out there and fires a strike, then proceeds to tell me he was a first-round pick of the Padres.
I believe that because I remember a couple years ago when the Phillies had, I think it was AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, and they were taking BP. And
yeah.
AJ Brown was like really hitting some long balls.
Mike, have you ever been up to Coca-Cola Stadium in Lehigh Valley?
No, I've been to Reading.
Okay, I love Reading as well. I love Reading. Next year, mark it down. Al, you're my witness. I'm dragging you up to Lehigh next year. You will love that ballpark. It's a beautiful ballpark.
It is. It is.
Yeah. I love the all shucks corn. And you can't get a bad seat in the place. So I didn't get to go the last 2 years because of scheduling conflicts. But the Eagles, they do a Devontae Smith charity softball game there.
All right.
Yeah.
And I went to it in 20. Well, it would have been 22 because that was the year they got AJ Brown. Yeah, because I didn't go in 23 and 24. So I went in 22, and I'm watching the home run derby. Now they put a little makeshift wall in the mid outfield because softballs don't travel as far as baseballs. Right. And I'm watching the guys doing the home run derby. And not all the players were Eagles players. But so I'll give you the guy that took number 2 in the derby was Micah Parsons. Would you like to wager a guess on the top 4 Philly Eagle finalists in the home run derby?
AJ Brown's one.
He won it. He was putting them in the actual seats. I think 2 of them are really going to shock you.
Not Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith is one of them.
Really?
Devontae was he was hitting some softball home runs.
Dallas Goedert.
I was going to give you a hint. I was going to say the first name is a team that you hate. Dallas Goedert, yes. Now, the one that is no longer on the Eagles was known as the Giant Killer.
Okay, the running back,
Boston Scott.
Yeah. Boston Scott. Boston Scott was jacking him, man.
Really?
So, but
he's like a little fire plug.
Yeah, but A.J. Brown was actually putting them in the seats.
I believe it because I remember NBC. I still call it Comcast. I mean, they were showing highlights like him and Jalen just hitting the ball pretty far in the batting cage.
Yeah, Jalen walked it off with a home run that game.
Not to
speaking of Mike and I was discussing this earlier, and since you said Micah Parson, what do you think of this podcast with Slay on there?
That really had me annoyed. The young lady that I sit with next to at work, she is like me. She is the female version of me, and she sits next to me, and she just popped her head over. Tony, I'm not happy. Pulls up her phone. What's this with Slay? I'm not happy. Why would you be on Micah's thing? He wants to be an Eagle anyway. I'm like, yes, he does, Sherelle. Yes, he does. But you don't be talking to other players like that, especially your Dallas Cowboy. They're your enemies. She was wound up. But no, that bothered me. And I'll tell you what Slay did in the game that bothered me a lot. Well, the one play when Mayfield hit the receiver in the hands in the end zone, the guy beats Slay on a slant pattern. He's wide open, no safety in the middle. The guy goes into his hands, and he bricked it, and he goes out. And Slay, 5 yards behind him, goes like this, like, buddy, you didn't do anything. You got beat. You got beat. He whooped you at the line of scrimmage. You got beat. Or I hate when a cornerback gets Izell Jenkins and is, 10 yards behind, and the ball gets overthrown, and he's like,
yeah.
See, I was a lineman, so and especially I was an interior lineman. We didn't get a lot of, hoopla. So we made a tackle or a sack. It was like our big celebration was, yeah. That's about all we got.
Just to touch on the AL wild card, Detroit Tigers 5, Houston Astros 2. So the Tigers move on.
The Astros are, as the late great Harry Callis would say, out of here.
So the Royals move on and beat the Baltimore Orioles 2-1. So
they're swept too.
So right now the Mets are up 1-0. I guess
3-1.
3-1
now. Yes, 3-1 now at the top of the second.
So the 2 underdogs, Houston is eliminated. Baltimore is eliminated for the second year.
I will tell you, I don't want the Mets in there just because I don't like the way their fans come into the ballpark. I never have. Even when I was a kid, always.
That'll be a free for all.
So the Mets guy looks like 2 on with 2 out.
What inning?
Top of the second.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me tell you this little story about Houston a few years ago when they was in. And we're backing the bus up. Well, it wasn't my bus. It was a guy that was with me. And somehow one of the windows had been shattered on the bus, the tinted portion. But the regular portion, you can see right through. And Jason Verlander was sitting at that window. And so there was a young lady outside, and she gave him the finger. And he gave the finger right back to her. And so naturally people started talking about it. The news caught a hold of it. And, they were saying, oh, he disrespected the Phillies and all of that. Well, the next day I'm backing in. He's on my bus. And he sees the same young lady. He gets out. They go over there and they hug and they talk. And he said, come on, let's take a picture. and both of them took a picture with their middle fingers out.
I have a question for both of you. Let me play host.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, not to shift gears, but I wanted to touch on a little bit with Dikembe Mutombo and Pete Rose, both playing for Sixers and the Phillies. And Al, I believe Tony, you never met Pete Rose, but
unfortunately I did not.
But just sharing your thoughts to pay homage to both of these guys. The impact.
I mean, both were Hall of Fame caliber players for their respective sports. Right. If you match them up person for person, I think you'd obviously have to give the nod to Dikembe. He was more of a humanitarian. He did a lot for his home country, tried to build houses, tried to build schools. You could tell he was just legitimately a nice guy. Pete Rose was a competitor. Pete Rose was a guy that would knock you over at the home plate. He was a win at all costs kind of guy. He was Charlie Hustle for a reason. Now, I posted a comment on a public social media page, and one guy said something back to me, and it actually really pissed me off. And I was going to say something smart back, but I said, you know what? Take the high road, man. Take the high road. Because I wrote something. I said, the man had his flaws. We all do.
Right.
I said, the man had his flaws, but he is definitely deserving to sit up top of the Hall of Fame. He had a 24-year career. He's the all-time Major League Baseball hits leader. The Phillies don't win the World Series in 1980 without him. He had that ultimate game-winning score in NLCS against the Astros, where he flattened Bruce Bochy at home plate. And then he had that catch off Bob Boone's glove in Game 6 of the World Series, and that might have saved the series. So the Phillies yeah, exactly. The Phillies don't win without Pete Rose. Now, the guy makes a comment on there. His flaws kept him out of the Hall. Now, I know I think it's insinuating the sexual whatever it was. I don't know the full story on it, so I'm not going to get into it. But I wanted to come back and say his gambling is what kept him out of the Hall of Fame. Gambling. The other thing did not come out until he already had a lifetime ban. His gambling kept him out. And if you watch any sporting event now, you can gamble almost on every pitch. Hey, do you want to put a bet on if the next pitch will be a fastball or a slider? Do you want to if the next play will be a run or a pass? Do you want to bet on the coin toss? Do you want to bet on the wind's going to shift from east to left or left to east? You can bet on everything now. Pete Rose would have been in his heyday. And now that he is no longer with us, it was a lifetime ban, right? Lifetime. Right. Life's over. His life's over. Time to put him in. It's sad he didn't get to see it happen. Did you see the photo of him from the night before he passed with some of his old Cincinnati Reds teammates?
I did.
See that, Al? Mm-hmm. They showed him. He was with some of his old Cincinnati Reds teammates.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
He was in a wheelchair. He did not look good. Now, they said I didn't, get the full story on it, but when I looked yesterday, they found him unresponsive at home. No foul play suspected. So, did he have a heart attack or,
Well, I think I didn't read. I saw something on the ticker this morning with ABC News saying it was reported that it was some type of heart issue.
Okay. That makes sense.
Oh.
That makes sense.
And Al, to you, I mean, you met Pete Rose. I know you said that.
Yeah.
In Las Vegas. Can you touch on that and possibly when you used to work for the Sixers, did you have the chance to meet Dikembe Mutombo?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Let's start off with Pete. I didn't know him personally, but I met him in Vegas one year. I was there, and my wife and I, we was walking around, and I saw him in there signing an autograph. I didn't have anything, so I grabbed a piece of paper and I went over there and stood in line when my time came up. I set the paper on the desk, and I just so happened to have my World Series ring on. And he looked at it. He said, "What is that?" And I said, "08." He said, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I've been a driver for almost 24 years." And, and they gave me a ring and everything. So he shook my hand. He said, "Nice." But, that was my only meeting with him.
Right.
But then on the other hand, every year during alumni season, I'm with all the alumni, and I'm with Mike Smith, Tony Trulio, and Larry Boy and all those guys. And, I sit around with them and I listen to them, and, everybody talk about what they've done in the past and all the good times and the people that they was around. So I heard a lot of good things about him as a player. And so I feel as if I know him because I'm around these guys year after year after year, and every year his name comes up. And last season, during the alumni, he was actually here.
Yeah.
And I was hoping to get to see him, but he was one of the only ones that did not ride the bus. He had a personal car. I think he was only allowed to be in the stadium that Sunday. And he did not go to the golf outing because we always go to the golf outing on that Monday.
Yes, they both pros, folks.
Yeah. But during that same time, I guess there was some young lady that had asked him about that sexual charge. And he said, lady said, "How old are you?" He said, "That was over 50 years ago. You're not even that old. What you know about it?" And he just
I don't know how true it was, but I thought he said something along the lines. I don't know if he called her toots, some term, some old school term of endearment. I think she just went off. The media got a hold of it and just escalated to being, I don't know if he called her doll or toots, but one of those old.
You know what?
A lot better than some of the words that ladies are called that I would.
I'll tell you, maybe one of the best stories that I heard over the last few days was I have a group chat on text with my Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers group. People that I go to Clearwater. I call them my Clearwater crew, like Mike's shirt, my Clearwater crew. And we go down every year together, and we have our group text going all the time. And the one message comes out that morning, Dikembe Mutombo passed away. I mean, I go, damn, that sucks. And then we all did the no.
Yeah.
And then later that night, I was the one that found out about Pete Rose. And the one guy in the chat,
that's a good screenshot.
The one guy in the chat said something like, "Yeah, something about Pete Rose," and the other guy said, "Yeah, that was like my boyhood idol growing up." So, but the one that really popped in was my one friend, and his band is going to play the Eagles game next week. They play a lot of the Phillies pep rallies. And when him and his now wife met Pete 10, 12, 13 years ago, they were taking a photo with him, and he turned to my friend Ray and he said, "Don't you let that one get away." And his wife now, she's like, that always meant something to me that he just turned to my husband before we got engaged, and he goes, "Don't you let that one get away."
Good.
Yeah.
Now,
Mike,
go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say you had asked about Mutombo as well.
Right.
My thing with him was, I think it was during the NBA All-Star game that they had here.
I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, and his I think they was staying at either it's the old what used to be the old Four Seasons. I forget the name of it now. But right there, 18th and the Parkway. And so they was there, and so one of my drivers picked up the players to take them to the Wells Fargo Center. Well, apparently this must have been a new driver. He didn't know where he was going, and he went across the the Ben Franklin, and he got lost over there in Camden. So Mutombo had to direct him how to get to the Wells Fargo Center from Camden. So yeah, that like you were saying earlier, Tony, getting to meeting different people, and I've been around Philadelphia sports for almost 24 years now, and I got to meet the best of them, and on one occasion the worst of them. And, but yeah, I got to meet a lot of guys, man, and I cherish every moment of it.
Yeah, me too. Someone asked me the other year, and they said some of the people you've met, like, and they said not just athletes, but just people in general, you know.
Mhm.
And I was saying I've had so many great experiences, whether it's guys from the Rocky movies, such as Carl Weathers or Burt Young, Hulk Hogan, Eagles players like Brandon Graham, Dominic Brown from the Phillies, all guys like that. Like, the only guy I would say that I had less than a stellar experience with, it was up at Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. It was a meet and greet. It wasn't like you went up to somebody that was standing there watching a baseball game. This was a signed up meet and greet.
Mhm.
And I went there and I went in full costume, and he's sitting at the table, and hey, how you doing? Hey, I said, yeah, I was a big fan, you know, and take a photo, and his face was like this. And not to name drop anybody, I will just say he was the last Phillies player to touch the ball in the 1993 World Series.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that one.
Yep. But he you know, if, like I said, if you're at a game or you're at a dinner and somebody comes up to you to bother you, okay, I can understand. You're like, hey, I'm with my family. Hey, I'm with my kids, or, you know, but when you're at a meet and greet and these people are coming to see you, you know, hey, just be a little bit more personable. I'll tell you one of the nicer guys that I met, and I saw him just a few months ago. When I got this new outfit in 2019, go down to Clearwater, and I'm walking into breakfast, and there's a father-son that I always see down there. Always see him. Two nice guys. And I'm walking into breakfast. He said, hey, Ricky Batalico's in there. I said, okay. And they sat me down at a table, and Ricky was just leaving. So I'm sitting there, and I'm in full costume. I'm like, what's up, Ricky? And I just waved. And he turned around, and he waved back at me. You know, I don't think nothing of it. So we end up at the ballpark, and we're at the Tiki Bar. And I'm, hey, Ricky, can I buy you a drink? Yeah, sure. And then he's like, and we're talking a little bit, and we ended up doing a photo together, and we did another shot or two. And we just, you know, talked. And ironically, he was supposed to fly home on, let's say, like a Monday, and I was going to fly home on Tuesday, Wednesday. And he ended up opting to stay another day because his flight was overbooked, and they put him up in a hotel for free. He's like, I'll stay in Florida an extra day. So I go into the Tampa airport, and I check in, and Ricky and I are on the same flight. So we're sitting there in the terminal. He was so personable, and we're just talking baseball. And Ricky was not a Gabe Kapler fan. I think he was pretty, you know, front about not being a Gabe Kapler fan. And he said to me, he goes, did you watch that game the other day? I said, yes, I did, sir. He goes, what'd you notice? I said, well, you know, this and that. He goes, what you should have noticed was that he pulled Aaron Nola after 3 innings. And when you're in the third week of spring training, your starters must go 5 or 6 innings because they got to get stretched out because opening day is only in 11 days.
Right.
He's like, he's not stretching the guys out enough. And as we're both sitting there talking baseball, both of our phones alert at the same time. And we both look, and we both went. We both put our phones down, and we looked at each other. You believe that? You heard too, huh? That's when Mike Trout signed that 14-year extension with the Angels because we thought he was going to come to Philly the next year.
Right.
But I saw Ricky a few months ago. He was doing an appearance with 97.5 up at Trap Tavern where your sign is college. So I go in there, and I brought my parents out for dinner that night. I said, let's go out to dinner. Ricky Batalico is going to be there. So we get there. My dad just wanted to sit at the table. I'm like, Mom, you're going to go up and meet Ricky. She's like, okay. What should I say? I said, well, Mom, the trade deadline's coming up next week. Ask him what he thinks, or are we going for a closer, or who you think he's going to get, or what we're going to have to give up. So she goes up there. Who do you think we're going to get at the trade line, Ricky? You know, she's like, but he was talking to her. He's really nice. And then I'm like, Ricky, please tell her I behave in Clearwater. He goes, he behaves about as much as I do. I'm like, not helping me, Rick. Not helping me.
Tony,
right, well, listen,
Comes over next week.
we've got a few minutes left. Go ahead, Mike, and then I want to show you a few pictures. I want you to talk about these pictures, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead,
Tony,
Mike.
I was going into this weekend. What is your depending on who, if it's the Mets or the Brewers?
You know what? The Mets concern me because they're playing hot baseball. They were 16 games behind you. They ended up being 6 behind you.
Mm-hmm.
That's concerning because they were playing the hot hand, like the 08 Phillies, right? Or the 22 Phillies had the hot hand. You don't want to play a team that's got the hot hand. But,
Not at all.
you know, you got to go out there and you have to be the better team. I think the Phillies are the better team overall. Pitching, overall hitting. I mean, the Mets got some good ball players on there. Nimmo, who I don't like. Alonso, who I don't like. They got some good ball players on there, guys that can really rake. Shut them down. Let Wheeler go out there and shut them down. And then, you know, jump on them early. Don't let them get confident. Don't let their fans get into it. In fact, if you can, keep the fans out of the stadium.
Right.
Right.
But that, I mean, it's likely going to be the Mets, and you just got to be concerned because they are the hot team right now. But like I said, you get them early and you show them you might be the hotter team, but we are the better team.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Yes. All right. Tony, I'm going to put up a picture here. You talk to us about this picture a little bit for us.
Okay.
Can you see it?
No, I can't.
Okay. It's a picture of you and Mr. Middleton.
Oh, John Middleton. Yes. I met John. I met John originally the day he signed Kyle Schwarber.
Mm-hmm.
We were down in Clearwater. The lockout just ended. My buddy from that's an usher down there goes, "Hey, John Middleton's walking by. How you doing today, John? I'll be better when I sign a left fielder. We got some irons in the fire." And I met him that day and talked to him, and then they signed Schwarber that afternoon. So I got to see him last week at Fan Appreciation Night, and he remembered me, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'd like to see him. I want to see him at the parade. He goes, I want to see you at the parade.
Okay.
He wants his trophy back.
I hear you.
He said that when they clinched the division last week.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did.
Matter of fact, he said, I want that.
Yes.
Whitman
You said it a
trophy.
little bit more colorfully than I did.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
All right, here's two more. I don't. Mike, did you see that one a few minutes ago? Or you
Yes,
can't
I
see it
did.
either? Okay, this
I've
is
seen this.
yeah, Dick Vermeil.
Met Dick, like I said, at a signing this past March in Oaks, PA. And that's when I told him how he made me a Virgo instead of a Libra.
Mm-hmm.
And then also right after this picture was being taken, apparently I can't read very well because when you go in there for the photos, it had a big exit curtain this way, and I walk this way, and I walk right into Big Dom. So I had to think on my feet. I said, oh, my God, it's Big Dom, and he's big. Big Dom. Yeah. So you're at the Super Bowl. You throw the Malaki on the 49ers? Because that's right. We ended up getting him to the bakery for lunch that day. You know what he ate?
Okay.
Whatever he wanted.
Hmm. Yeah, me and Big Dom been together for like 24 years now.
Yeah. Right. He ate whatever he wanted that day.
Last picture here. This is you and no, that's
Vince Papale.
Yeah, Vince Papale.
Vince Papale. That was training camp 2019. Friend of mine, the one that just got married over the weekend, she used to have box seats through her business, and she'd get invited to a private NovaCare practice and would always give the ticket to me. So I went down there the 1 year. I'm like, oh my God, there's Vince Papale, Mr. Invincible. Mm-hmm. And so I went up to him, told him the same thing. Vince, I should be a Libra, but I'm a Virgo. And I'll tell you, this is funny. A friend of mine, her birthday is also a September girl. And when she turned 40, she's Mark Wahlberg obsessed. So I made her a card, and on the front of it was a picture of Vince Papale, Mickey Ward, the Navy SEAL that Mark Wahlberg played, and the Boston Marathon police officer that he played.
Okay.
And then I said, and then when you open it up, then it was Mark Wahlberg playing in all those parts.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to go, these guys want to wish you a happy birthday. And I'm knowing she has no idea who they are.
Right.
But then you open it up and it's like, oh, they're all Mark Wahlberg characters.
All right, Mike, you got any last words?
Actually, I had two things. I wanted to send a shout out to the Atlanta Eagles fan club for letting us
Yes, yes. I forget that every week to mention them.
The Eagles Mania, the Northwest Bird Gang, and Eagles Extreme fan groups for letting us, put our content on their pages. We appreciate it. Also have one other thing. Now, this is something with you, Tony. I've been dying to go to the Collegeville Bakery for the longest time.
It's 15 minutes from me, bro.
And if we could schedule something, myself, you, and Big Al, to all go out there and just have lunch, when we all get some free time out, how about it?
I'd love to.
Yes, sir.
Al, I mean, being a sports fan, you're going to walk in this place and your jaw's going to hit the floor like, oh, my God, there's a Darryl Strawberry signed, baseball bat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's Brandon Graham. There's the Brandon Graham pizza. There's the Joel Embiid milkshake that Joel designed himself. There's the Big Don milkshake. You see players on the wall. They got a pair of Embiid sneakers in a case on there. They have what was the guy from the Dolphins? Jim Jensen. They called him Crash Jensen. Okay. I had dinner with him there. I mean, you just see the people they have on the wall. They had Ric Flair there the one day, and of course they didn't tell me. Oh, Tony, you missed Ric Flair. I would have slept out overnight if I knew Ric Flair was going to be here. Thank you very much. Right. I had lunch there with Mark Marrow when he was up doing some school
Johnny
talks.
Johnny
B. Bad, yeah. He was up doing a school talk about 2 years ago. I had lunch with him. I mean, you go in there and it's like the food's amazing. Right. They got their chicken cutlet sandwiches, their hoagies, there's some rollies, or pizzas. I mean, before we end, I will tell you, Mike, you know the Fandemic crew, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I met them a couple years ago, a year after they, became known for going to all the games during the pandemic. And so I met them, and then I became really friends with them in the 21 season. So opening weekend of 22, games on a Friday, was a great weekend for me. Home openers on a Friday, go down, bring my dad. That Saturday, I was doing some, stuff around the house because Sunday mornings when I was going to meet Carl Weathers. So the Fandemic crew says, hey, we're going to a game up in Reading. We're going to stop at Collegeville. We've already told the owner. Would you like to come with us? I said, yeah, it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes for me at most. I'll meet you there. So I meet him there. And we had a couple tables all set up. Now, there was a comedian. He passed away about 10 years ago named John Panette, big heavyset guy. He was on Seinfeld. And he did a skit where they were doing a shoot over in Europe, and they went to Italy. And he goes, there's no such thing as an all-you-can-eat buffet in Italy. That's just the way it is. They just send food out. He goes, we tried to order, and they're sending food out before we even order. Then we order, and there's more food coming out. It's like, yo, stop ordering. No, that's enough. Don't order. I didn't order that. Who ordered that? Did you order that? No, I didn't order that. So we all go there with the Fandemic crew, and we all put our orders in. I got this sandwich. This guy got this one. This guy got this one. I'm sitting next to Brett over here. Oscar's down over here. Eric's over here. And their wives are there. Eric, did you order that? No. Oscar? No.
Yes, we lost once again.
Steve, just the owner, who's my good friend of mine, was just sending food out. Yo, try this pizza I made. Hey, try this sample. Yo, I got this new chicken cutlet. Try this. And I'm like, he's just sending food out. None of us are going to make it anywhere tonight because we're all going to be like this. Oh, I said, we had to get out of there. I thought he was trying to kill us. But no, I mean, you will love it there. It's a sports person's dream. Okay. And good food. And if you like Italian food, then you come in a really right spot.
Yeah, all right. Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.
All right.
Mike, can I bring my dad?
What's that?
Can I bring my dad?
Sure. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to see Mr. Panikel. No, great man.
All right, good. Well, listen, Tony, it has been a pleasure. Appreciate you coming on.
Now, Mike,
and like I say,
thanks for having me as always.
Thanks for coming on tonight. We deeply appreciate it.
See you Saturday.
Yes, I will come look you up Saturday, okay?
All right, sounds good.
All right, thank you, everybody. You've been listening to At the 50 with Fuji and Fleet. And our special guest today has been Tony the Tornado. Thank you so much, guys.
Everybody have a good week. Go Phils. Go Birds.